Hello and welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the albums and songs of the year series. Today we are recording our favorite albums of 1969. If I can squeeze, this is being recorded on Friday night, 10 p.m. my time. So if I can be a real, crazy fast editor, hopefully this is out on its usual Saturday slot. The weekend before this, you will have seen our favorite songs of 1968, Chris's favorite year of all time. And next week, we will have favorite songs of 1969. We did reference this, but there will be a decade recap after that. So we'll be taking an extra week off just to get ready for the 70s because there's a lot to be doing and listening to. 1969, interesting year. Interesting year. I think in terms of depth, this is unprecedented levels. There's way more greatness than there has ever been before. And it's going to stay at this amount pretty much for the next few years, maybe a bit more on a couple of those 70s years somehow. It doesn't quite have a White Album or Aerial Ballet for me, but that's not taken any away from these top albums. These are freaking great. Chris, how are you feeling about the year of our Lord 1969?
Oh yeah, I'm feeling so good after a year like 1968. Let me tell you. No, I grew to appreciate 1968, of course, but 1969 was just easy to slide right in, and there's so much at the top. The top is just really wide, and getting through all that I wanted to was difficult, and the cuts were painful. If I don't mention yours, I'm sorry. And I actually kind of mean it this time, not like any other year, because I because I know now. I know now. So yeah.
Vanessa, how are you feeling? 1969.
Well, it's the first year where it was a little less obvious what was going to make it. Like the top two were obvious, but beyond that, I had a like 11 that I was choosing from. So I listened to a lot more new stuff this time. I kind of went against that vow that I wasn't going to listen to anything new. I guess that's out the window, but nothing new made my list in the end. So it's all stuff I already knew, but it's good to just see what's out there too. Make sure you're not missing anything. So.
Yeah, similar story for me. I there was one album I knew would make it. I wasn't sure if it was going to be my winner, but I knew it was going to be on my list. And
Yeah.
then there were eight other albums that I was like, I can only pick four of these.
Yeah.
So yeah. Um, as we do, we like to switch around the order a little bit, and it's Chris's turn to go first. Vanessa will be going second, and I will be finishing us off. So I'll see you guys in 20 minutes.
Oh, great. Yeah, me first. I mean, um, yeah, thanks to the viewers who are still here after my uh Crimson and Clover incident in 1968. But this year, I don't think I'll be going as crazy. I'm mostly sincere here. So, well, let's jump into it. I have 10 records, five of which are honorable mentions. I'll kind of breeze through those. So we'll just start off number 10. Yeah, this was kind of a surprise for me. Scott 4 by Scott Engel, Scott Walker, however you want to call him. Really great. Really, I was surprised at how much I liked it. Number 9, I'm going with Stand by Sly and the Family Stone. Just a great record. Insanely funky, anthemic, socially angry. Number 8 is gonna be Gilded Palace of Sin. I had a lot of fun with this. Uh, yeah, just an awesome debut for the Burrito Brothers, and I wish I could put it higher, but I can't. Similarly, number 7. Oh man, I feel bad. This is at 7, but I'm going Willie and the Poor Boys by CCR. Just an awesome swamp rock, roots rock, whatever you want to call it. And number 6, my final honorable mention is Led Zeppelin 2. Yeah, sorry. A lot's been said about the record. Most of it's true, probably. I don't know. I haven't read it all. Anyway, never mind that. Never mind those. No, those are all great. Those to be clear, those are all 4.5s to me. I mean, it was tough. It was really tough to get rid of some, but these five made the cut. Number five, for real now. I'm going with Unhalfbricking. Now, Unhalfbricking, yeah, this one's kind of interesting because I know what you're gonna say, and it's not true. I'm not simping, okay? I'm not simping for Sandy, so they say. Ode, I'm sorry, buddy. Look, I get it, but that's not me, okay? Um, no, it's not like that. This album is a riot in the folkiest way possible. It's just so much fun. It's got all you need. It's got the French Bob Dylan cover. I mean, that's cool. It's kind of like a sing along. There's a Sailor song in there that I actually love. It's raucous, it's fun, and Cajun Woman is also really fun. But then you have the Autopsy, you have the Who Knows Where the Time Goes, and Sandy just lays it down in every sense of the word. I can't believe how awesome this record was, and yeah, Fairport Convention. I'm going to be listening to a lot of them uh, for years to come. So I'm a convert. I get it. I'm not a simp though. Ode, come on, man. I'm just kidding. Okay, number four. I'm going with Arthur or the decline and fall of the British Empire, whatever, all the parentheses stuff. It's just Arthur. We just call it Arthur around my house. I call it just Arthur. And look, the Kinks are winning at this time in history. I thought very highly of Village Green Preservation Society, and Arthur is right there with it. Frankly, this is a very cool record. And what I like about it is it's kind of this progression from Village Green in a way, in the sense of like kind of a concept album, where that was kind of like these vignettes, these kind of like looser kind of they were kind of like loosely tied together. Arthur really comes together. I love the cohesion, and the lyrics are meaningful. The performances are awesome. What's not to love about Arthur? I wish I could put it higher, frankly, but it's just that strong of a year. Well deserved at number four. Number three, I'm gonna go with the Velvet Underground. The Velvet Underground. Yes. Yes, and what a pretty record. It's after White Light, White Heat, this is just wow, it's just beautiful. They still throw you like the murder mystery to make sure you're awake, and you know that it's them and not just some nondescript pop rock group of the 60s. But there's so many just like top tier pop songs with like the hint of darkness, like Candy Says, and What Goes On, Pale Blue Eyes, and the most adorable is After Hours. Yeah, I love that one. So all around, yeah, awesome tunes. I put awesome tunes for good mood dudes, gals, and non-binary pals. So there you go. Check it out. It will impress your crush probably. Velvet Underground, self-titled from 1969. But if your crush is really cool, they will really appreciate my number two, which is In the Court of the Crimson King. Yeah, so I don't have like a super long story about this, like I discovered it when I was 13 or anything. I got nothing like that. I discovered this kind of in my prog phase as a late teenager. And I always thought it was cool, but it did take me a while to kind of like settle in as like, not just some I don't know, dad rock cool, but actually like respect the performances for what they are. And yeah, this album really is kind of what progressive rock would be kind of measured against, I feel. And it really set the standard for, being a good prog musician, which other bands definitely, in my opinion, have matched or maybe even beat. But yeah, this record is like it's almost flawless. But Moonchild just like it hurts. But the thing is, the rest of the record is so good. It's like that whole stretch is basically forgivable. Yeah, my favorite part of the record is just the chaos of 21st century schizoid man, just like coming to a close, and then right into I Talk to the Wind, just like a breath of fresh air. I mean, it's cool. Yeah, it's awesome. It's a great record. Check it out. You've already checked it out. You already know about it. I'm not. I'm just another white guy talking about King Crimson. All right, fine. Number one, look, yeah, it's Abbey Road because I can't. I tried. I listened to it again, and I'm like, maybe I could like it a little less, and not put it at number one. Maybe it could like lower itself from a 5, and it can't. It's awesome. Um, it's absolutely goated, as the kids say. Yeah, I don't think there's a single stinker here, frankly. I like the less popular songs. I think it holds up to its reputation. Ringo even gets a Ween song on there, so that's cool. Yeah, it's Abbey Road. You know it, you love it. Don't give me that in the comments, all right? You know it, you love it. All right, that's my list.
Yeah, nice. As expected, there's some crossover. But very nice list.
Yeah. So much for my prediction that you didn't want to have Abbey Road at number one.
I know. I'm not that cool.
Well, let's see if I am. So my honorable mentions from 10 to 6 properly this time. Number 10 is Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Everybody knows this is Nowhere. Number 9, Nick Drake and Five Leaves Left. Number 8 is the Velvet Underground. Number 7 is Nashville Skyline by Bob Dylan. And number 6 is In the Court of the Crimson King, which was my 5 that I did knock down a little bit. Damn it, Moonchild, but still love it. Still great. So number 5 is the Kinks and Arthur, as I also call it around here. Kinks were on fire in this period. You said it, it's true. The album starts super strong right out the gate with Victoria and continues strong from there. Like Village Green, it's filled with catchy and memorable songs that I feel like I should have heard a lot more when I was growing up. Like it feels like we should have heard the Kinks a lot more, but we didn't. Discovering this period of the Kinks was like uncovering buried treasure in that way, because it's like this great pop music that you just didn't hear on the radio or anything like that. And something about this album feels cozy and inviting to me, even though the subject matter is quite heavy at times. And it is at odds with the nostalgic feelings that it invokes, but it's great. Number 4 is The Band with their self-titled The Band. Not quite as high for me as their previous album, but still very strong. They're continuing with the early Americana sound that they established on music from Big Pink. And they show that the magic of that album isn't just a fluke. First side is jam-packed with many of the classic songs casual fans know. But side 2 is strong too, with some great deep cuts like Jawbone and Rockin' Chair. I also like how this album is tied together by the old-time Americana theme. Their sound is perfect to pull off something like that. And even the cover just encapsulates that perfectly, which is pretty great. Number 3 is my favorite Led Zeppelin album of the year, Led Zeppelin 2. I just think that this is full of bangers and classic songs that I can never get sick of. I should be sick of Whole Lotta Love, but I'm not, even though I've heard it 8 billion times. But apart from that, I think that every song here is great. I think that they really showcase their hard rocking side, but also make sure to bring in some variety with some of the bluesier tracks and the more delicate Thank You, which really helps round out this album and just put it above Led Zeppelin 1 for me. Number 2 is The Gilded Palace of Sin by the Flying Burrito Brothers, of course. On this album, Chris Hillman and Graham Parsons expand on the country rock sound that they helped introduce with Sweetheart of the Rodeo the previous year. But where that album was mostly covers, on this album they write their own material. And I think that elevates their sound even more and just takes it just quite a lot farther. They're both 5s for me, but this one I really noticed how much better it was going side by side, even within that scale. Some of these songs, like Sin City, have basically become country standards. And a couple of the covers that they do here were actually more better known as soul songs before this album, and they put their stamp on them, which I think is really cool and really shows that they were really on their game with what they were doing here. And the album is where their vision really comes together. The songs are great, the harmonies are fantastic, and of course, the fabulous Sneaky Pete and his steel guitar just make this super special. So number one, I'm Not Cool. It's Abbey Road. I've had a weird, complicated relationship with this album because I didn't want to put it number one either, but like I couldn't deny it. Like it had to be number one. It's not because I don't love it. It just feels like I always hate having like a basic answer, you know, but sometimes you gotta. I think that it absolutely stands up to its reputation. It's intimidating to even really know what to say about it or any Beatles album really, because like there's whole channels dedicated to the Beatles, but I think that everything everybody said about it is true. It's got a richness to it that makes its placement at the top undeniable. There's lots of variety here, and it shows that they could also ultimately pull off basically anything they put their mind to. Even creating a whole medley that basically took up an entire side, where you could take the songs apart and you could still enjoy these songs separately from the medley. Like who can do that? The Beatles, but not too many other people. So yeah.
Jeff Rosenstock can.
Oh, okay. Jeff Rosenstock.
That was like that was like 50 years later though, so it's not really comparable. So I mentioned I had 9 albums that were really in contention. So my number 10, I kind of almost went for 4 honorable mentions, but I wanted to mention this because I figured no one else would. My number 10 is Stand Up by Jethro Tull. Really, really cool album. I kind of didn't realize how eclectic Jethro Tull would be, because all their albums sound like Jethro Tull with the flute and the acoustic guitar and the big electric guitars. But like you got Thick as a Brick, which is a prog album, Aqualung, which is more like hard rock kind of, and this one's really pastoral and acoustic and really pretty and lovely strings. Great album, very unexpected. Number 9 for me, another album no one's mentioned, Green River by CCR. Really fun, summery album. It's like summer in a different way to the Beach Boys. It almost feels like sweaty, but in like an inviting way, you know. Number 8 is Stand by Sly and the Family Stone. Of course, it's amazing. 7, Townes Van Zandt, Self-Titled. What a great album. Talked about this a lot during the Townes Van Zandt deep dive. It was my favorite of his. And also just missing my list is Willie and the Poor Boys by CCR. Great year for them. Bio Country's pretty good too, but these two are a lot better. This album is so fun. I even love like Poor Boy Shuffle. That song's such a blast. But yeah, you know, Down on the Corner, Fortunate Son, Effigy, all that stuff. Great. Cotton Fields. What banger that is. Top 5. Number 5. Everybody knows This Is Nowhere by Neil Young and Crazy Horse. Now, 1969 is kind of the beginning of an era for me. You're going to be hearing a lot about Neil Young, and you're going to be hearing a lot about another artist, which I'll get to in my songs video. This is pretty much the beginning. I like his debut, but this is the beginning of Neil announcing himself. Any album that starts with Cinnamon Girl and everybody knows This Is Nowhere is destined for greatness. I mean, what a 1-2 opening to an album that is. But the other songs are great too. I like Cowgirl in the Sand and Down by the River, even if I think he would do better, sort of longer songs later on. But I do really like The Losing End. I think that's a really underrated track. Yeah, excellent in its own right, even if I think the best was yet to come. Then number 4, In the Court of the Crimson King by King Crimson, which I assumed would be higher. I guess my tolerance for the 10 minutes of mindless jamming on Moonchild is dropped. First like 2.5 minutes that song was great, and then it just stops being a song. But yeah, the rest of the album is great. Epitaph is moving and epic. 21st Century Schizoid Man goes so hard. Closing title track, blew my mind when I heard it in Children of Men. Great film. Um, Greg Lake, what a great singer. What a great singer. Number 3, bronze medal. Another album I thought would be higher. The Velvet Underground, self-titled. I thought this might challenge my number 1, but sort of similarly to what's happened in other years, the gap is bigger than it's ever been before between this and my number 1. Um, Still love it though. Still my favorite Velvet Underground album. It's really hushed and gentle. Um, it's kind of impressive how they made an album sound like this soft. It's kind of remarkable. But it still has like really cool like tracks that sort of break the mold, like Beginning to See the Light as a sort of like sing along rocker, and like Chris mentioned, you get the Murder Mystery, which is insane. But yeah, to me the best songs are Candy Says, Pale Blue Eyes, and After Hours. I think that's pretty certain for most people. I don't know. Number 2, Silver. Fairport Convention with Unhalfbricking. What a banging album this is. This is like the most I'd like slept on album. It's not even considered their best album of the year. Like Legion Leaf has better respect, I suppose. But like you get two of the greatest legends of English folk music, Sandy Denny and Richard Thompson. They were in a band together for 1 year and they made 3 albums. So they made sure that we got our money's worth, of their time together. Every song rules, like without an exception. There's a real tight knit feel to all the songs. The band is really a collective, which is really cool. Even though Sandy Denny sings on every song, you get the sense that there is like a collective feel to it. And on their cover of Percy's song, they're all harmonizing together. Million Dollar Bash, they're all taking turns on the verses. Rich Thompson even gets to sing a little bit, which is cool. Rich Thompson's guitar playing on this is unbelievable. It's particularly mind-blowing on A Sailor's Life. Holy shit, so good. Yeah, I love this album more every time I hear it. It's like a warm hug. You can feel the energy in the room when you're listening to it. It's intimate, it's rewarding, it's very warm. It's not number 1 because number 1 is obviously Abbey Road by the Beatles, which I also didn't want to put it at number 1 because it's my third favorite Beatles album. I thought Velvet Underground had a shot at usurping it, but it landed at number 3. It kind of failed there, Lou and Doug and Maureen and the other guy. There's the big songs that everybody knows, like Come Together, Something, Here Comes the Sun, but I find a lot of joy in the deep cuts, especially now. Like, I think I had this as like, I mentioned this in the Beatles video, it was always like my highest 9. And in my head, if you can be better than Abbey Road, then you deserve a 10, right? But now Abbey Road's a 10 as well, so it's like that theory doesn't hold any water. Even the songs I didn't like that much before, like Vanessa, of course, resents me picking on She Came In Through the Bathroom Window so much, but yeah, it's great. It's great. All right, shut up. It's really cool. Every song is great. Even Her Majesty is such a nice little bow on the album. It's so cathartic in the medley, especially like such a perfect way for them to go out. Obviously, Let It Be doesn't exist. It's yeah, it's hard to fault anything with it. I was talking to somebody on Discord about it, Dylan, shout out Dylan, and basically he was saying like, yeah, it's Paul's best album as a bassist, it's Ringo's best album as a drummer, and I was like, yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's also George Martin's best production. Paul's probably his best album vocally. Why isn't this a perfect album for me? And then I was thinking about it. Yeah, no, it has to be. It really has to be because as much as I didn't like maybe Octopus's Garden or, some of the medley tracks as much as my favorite songs on the album, You Never Give Me Your Money, Oh Darling, Golden Slumbers Carry That Weight at the end. So good. So we have an album of the year trifecta. It has happened now, finally. Will it happen again is the question. I think we're going to get less likely as we go on, but I'm not going to be picking Let It Be in 1970. I'm happy to give that away. So the Beatles are done for me. And everyone's very glad to hear that because I've literally nominated every eligible album so far. So yeah, that's 1969 for me. Abbey Road takes the gold, but don't sleep on Unhalfbricking.
Yeah, Unhalfbricking would be in my top 25, probably top 15. I enjoyed it. Yeah, just it didn't quite make the top 10.
It's tough
A
in
lot
these,
of competition.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
It's hard. It's hard at the top. Yeah. Like I said, even all my honorable mentions are, 4.5s, nines, whatever you want to call them.
So are
Um,
mine.
yeah.
I would
Yeah.
rather
We
you
have a
call them
few
nines.
outside the top 10 that are too.
Yeah, that'd be nines. Okay. They're nines.
Are nines.
I don't
Uh,
have a decimal after the nine. It's just a nine.
yeah, it's just a nine. Thank you very much for joining us for our favorite albums of 1969. Hopefully, you'll come around for our favorite songs of 1969 and our decade recap. Don't miss that one. That's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe a bit more informal discussion, talk about some artists we wish could have got in. But yeah, it's tough with these top fives. You can't get everybody in. So from me, Vanessa, and Chris, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll catch you soon.